Audio mastering. What is it, and is it necessary? Yes, it is necessary. Okay, I'm done. I'll see you later. No, in all seriousness, I'll talk to you today about what audio mastering is and why it's necessary. And hopefully by the end, you'll have learned something and you'll realise that it's something that is going to benefit your project. Stick around. So, audio mastering. This is a question that I've seen floating around the interwebs. Do I really need audio mastering? Can't I do it myself? Can't I, go to somewhere like Lander or eMusic? I can't remember what the others are, but there's other automated mastering services that, look, aren't terrible, but I think, they probably serve some purposes for some people. But really, if you care about your music, if you've invested into your music, then you need to invest in audio mastering. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a mastering engineer. I'm saying that because I think it's true. So if you stick around, I'm going to tell you why. So there's 3 things that I feel audio mastering does. Look, if you're a mastering engineer and you're watching this, if you've got more, add them to the comments. Don't hate, participate. All right. The 3 things I think audio mastering does. 1, it is corrective. 2, it creates continuity. Just had a look at my notes. And 3, it creates it's compliancy. And that kind of sounds boring, so we'll get to that last, and I promise you it's not boring. First of all, corrective. What do I mean by that? So corrective is, okay, I receive a stereo file for mastering, and I'm going to listen to that, and probably one of 2 things is going to happen. Either I'm going to go, look, this mix is nearly there, but I need to probably just ask the mix engineer or the artist who's working with the mix engineer, just go back and maybe make a few changes. The reason that I do that is because I know we're going to get a better quality master. And if you've spent all this time and effort working on these songs and getting them sounding amazing, obviously just a few more tweaks doesn't hurt if it's going to take your master to that, that next level. I mean that in all seriousness though. And so that's scenario 1. Okay. Now, if you're going to an automated mastering service, you're not going to get that. If you are just punching a bunch of presets and plugins in, you're not going to get that either. Okay. So that's one of the benefits of getting somebody to master your music. Number 2, or the second scenario that happens with mastering. Somebody sends me a mix, okay, and I go, this is sounding really cool. I reckon we just do a few little tweaks and, just improvements, or not improvements, just bring out and enhance what's already there, and we're going to have a beautiful master, okay? So really, unless you've got a perfect mix, you're not going to get that from presets. You're not going to get that from automated mastering. And even if you do have a pretty amazing mix, okay, there's no input from a creative point of view where, a mastering engineer generally is a musician themselves. They've probably recorded music, they've probably written music potentially, they have probably worked in studios where they have mixed music. Generally the progression is that then they go on to do mastering, and it is that final stage of that process. They've had all this experience, they generally love music, hopefully, and they are creative, and so they are going to bring that to the table when you send something to them. So not only are they going to correct any potential just minor things or major things, or give you advice on how to correct them in the mix, but they are going to also bring a level of creativity to it as well. Some of the other things that a mastering engineer might correct are weird noises, or pick up on noises that you missed, things that can happen in the mixing process, because especially if you've spent months on something, you can kind of get the forest for the trees scenario where you lose a little bit of that perspective. So a new set of ears, and a set of ears that's focused on making sure that you end up with a product at the end that is just beyond your expectations. At the end of that process, you want somebody who's focused on all those details and who's going to pick up on any of those little things. Now, look, generally, if I get little pops and crackles and clicks and stuff like that, that probably can be fixed in mixing. It's probably going to go back to the mix engineer to fix, but if not, I can hear those and I can correct those as best as possible. We can do a lot, but there's still limitations to what we can do. But that is another function of a mastering engineer. And again, if you don't have a set of ears that are trained like that, you're not going to get the benefit of that either. Continuity. That's the second kind of C that I think a mastering engineer brings to the table. Not all mixes are equal. Now, what do I mean by that? Now, just in the same way that a single mix will probably need a little bit of tweaking, a mastering engineer is going to bring continuity not only in the context of if you've got an EP or album and making sure all of those songs sound like they all belong together and they sound relatively similar. Not that they sound the same in a boring way, but they have the same kind of amount of bass. They have the same kind of openness in the top end. The vocal is sitting roughly the same in each track, so that you're not kind of going, oh, where'd the vocal go in this track? Again, mastering engineers can do a lot to help make sure that there is continuity within that album or EP. But not only that, they can make sure there is continuity when it comes to against other tracks commercially. And this is where it kind of blurs into the third C, which is compliancy. So compliancy, what I mean by that, it sounds boring, but what I mean is that your music next to other commercially released music sounds of a similar quality. So a mastering engineer can help you get to that. There's obviously a lot in the songwriting, there's a lot in the recording, and a lot in the mixing that gets you there. But the mastering engineer is going to, again, listen to that track and go, okay, we need to make it a similar volume to commercially released mixes. We need to make sure that tonally it sounds similar to mixes within probably the genre, to be specific, making sure there's enough bass and, there's enough clarity in the top end depending on the genre of music. Again, mastering, you're walking this line between generalizations, but also, what is genre? So like jazz tracks with the same amount of bass as an EDM track really doesn't make sense. But at the same time, similar principles are involved in making sure the tonality is the same. That is another aspect of compliancy. And look, and I don't mean to pick on anyone, but if you go to SoundCloud, you will hear the Wild West of mastering, because SoundCloud is a great platform. I love SoundCloud. There's a lot of amazing artists on SoundCloud, but there is also a lot of variation in quality, and that goes for the mastering and mixing side of things. And I remember last year I was listening to this Italian electronic artist, great songwriting, really beautiful ambient but rhythmic music that he was writing, and then, as the track starts to progress, it hits the mastering limiter and it's belting into it, and it just fell apart and sounded horrible. And I felt really bad for this guy, because I'm thinking, this is great music, but unfortunately, because I can tell, for whatever reason, he's probably mastered himself, it's not putting the best version of that song out there. And so that's another aspect that a mastering engineer is going to bring. They're going to bring that experience and that kind of knowing the lines to walk, when how much, loudness is too much loudness, how much bass is too much bass. How can I treat the song with respect and with the care that it needs? To finish up, that's what you're really doing when you engage a mastering engineer. You are investing both in your music, which you've spent a lot of time recording, producing, mixing, and spent a lot of money probably doing that as well. But also you're investing in your audience and the people who are going to listen to your music, who are going to love it, and then who are going to reward you for that, whether it's with their love and devotion and praise, or financially by buying your merchandise and helping you build a sustainable music career. That's what it comes down to. You would love to be doing music full time, I'm sure. And so therefore, invest into your music for both your sake and for your audience's sake, so that you can build a long-lasting relationship with that audience and they can help support you in that endeavor of writing and making music. All right, I've rambled on for long enough. Thanks very much if you've got to this point in the video, for listening. Hopefully it's been helpful. Hopefully I've given you reasons to consider engaging a mastering engineer when you need your tracks finalised and ready for release. If you've got any questions or comments, leave them below. I'd love to answer those for you if I can. Thanks very much, and all the best with your music making.